Sort of person.
They all do, mate. They all do.
Hong Kong. Ironic, isn't it? The last sausage in the English fridge. I hope you guys have all made plans for 1997. You won't be cooling your heels round here, I can tell you that much. You're being thrown to the wolves. They might put a tank through that wall and rearrange the furniture. What's that?
That bird in the last bar.
Yeah. As good as this one, eh? G'day, darling. Yeah. What a place is Hong Kong, eh, mate? I've been at every bar along the strip. Wouldn't know where I was, eh? Yeah, anyway, Riley's the name. Jeff Riley. Fairweather, isn't it?
Look, I've got to be going.
Good, and John Fairweather from Wagga Wagga. Sorry, pal. Interpol. I arrest you in the name of Her Majesty's government. Not obliged to say anything, but anything you do say will be taken down and used in evidence against you, okay? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Riley.
Okay, Mr. Riley.
Very good. Go to the top of the class. Wagga Wagga, eh? Where the crows fly backwards to keep the dust out of their eyes. I've got a niece who lives in Wagga Wagga. Name of Shirley Reagan. Works at the American Dry Cleaners. You know the American Dry Cleaners? Baylor Street, is it? Or, Fitzmaurice?
Piss off.
Oh. A word of advice. We're both a long way from home. We got a long way to go back to the old dart. So we might as well chat to each other. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Riley.
Okay, Mr. Riley.
You're big news back in little Wagga Wagga, mate.
It's an overcast day throughout the Riverina, 27 degrees maximum. You're listening to your favourite country radio station, 2WG. Getting back to that news item about the Wagga lad on the run from Interpol, Gordon Fairweather. Apparently Interpol agents have been in town taking statements. Very exciting, isn't it?
Gordon Fairweather. Well, we was in the boys' home together, out at Rock Hill. It's an orphanage for people who had no parents, or whose parents were no use to you. He was the sort of character that'd fade into the background. I suppose I was the same sort of person, really. No one remembered me much either. I guess that's why we remembered each other. I never thought he'd make it into the newspapers, though. He sent me a postcard out of the blue from England, from a place called Portsmouth. He says it's the place where the first fleet sailed from when they came out here to Australia. It's the only postcard I ever got.
Remember him? How could I forget him? He wanted to rent a surgery above my restaurant. It had been vacant since old Dr. Stout killed himself. Hardly my fault. A few people had come to inspect the premises, but the smell of the restaurant took them off. I was within my rights renting it to him. He seemed a reasonable type of fellow. Can't tell, can you? I'm a businessman. I have to take the person that comes along. Take them at face value.
Did you see him? What sort of a professional man rides a push bike in this day and age? Who wears short trousers in the middle of winter? And rubber sandals.
They're called flip-flops, Mother, not rubber sandals.
Idiotic things. How many have you done?
50.
We'll do another 50.
I was sitting at the bus stop. His cheeks were bright red from the cold. His fingers and his nose were blue and his eyes were watering. You could tell just from looking at his legs that he wasn't from anywhere around Hampshire. A boy from these parts would never ride a push bike from Gatwick Airport to Portsmouth.
Let's get moving.
We'll give it an hour.
No, come.
Don't get him a drink. You've got to be good to the Golden Goose, mate. We'll be on the front page of every rag in Fleet Street by tomorrow.
在这待着干什么呢? Oh, what did you do?
You tell me. I was sitting here minding my own business.
Oh, Starsky and Hutch.
I broke out of Rock Hill Orphanage 3 times. They treated us kids like we were something that they'd stepped in. Everyone broke out of there one time or another, but we'd always give ourselves up because we get hungry or sick of sleeping in bus shelters or whatever. But not Gordy. He only went the once. He jumped the goods train to Sydney. He told me that he was going to go and study at university. I thought he was joking. Because he wasn't too brainy, you know, except for Australian history and poetry, but he was as cunning as a fox.
Jean, Gwen's had bad news. You better call a taxi and take her home. I'll find someone to take your place.
When did it happen?
Last night, over Germany.
I saw that new dentist today. Funny, he was in a rowing boat in the harbour.
Sure it was him? Who rows a rowboat in Portsmouth Harbour?
He sounds like an interesting person, Mummy.
Be mental.
It happened a few years ago, of course, when mental treatment was mental treatment. And I hadn't been asked to retire. Gordon Fairweather had been brought here to the psychiatric centre from Sydney University. We'd sent a crisis team in answer to an emergency call.
pass his university course for so long, he was treated as a bit of a joke. Finally, he just cracked up. One morning during a laboratory session, he threatened the professor with a wax knife. Well, they cleared the lab and Fairweather just sat there and kept on working. The men in white coats crept in between the benches and spoke to him. Oh, he went quietly at first. Then he just snapped and fought like a wild animal. They bashed him to the floor and put a straitjacket on him. There was blood trickling down his face when they took him away.
I made a sarcastic remark to him. Certainly I make sarcastic remarks to everybody. That's hardly an excuse. Fairweather was rushing to finish an assignment. He'd been doing the 5-year university course for 10 years, hanging on like a drowning man. He wasn't suited. His work has always been unsatisfactory. A long time ago, I may have criticised his work. Perfectly justified comment, I'm sure. He said, "Come one step closer, I'll cut your heart out." I backed down, cleared the room, and he went on working till the police and the hospital people arrived to take him away.
For 2 weeks, he was placed in solitary, in a safe room. The term padded cell isn't used so much anymore.
It was really rather exciting. I kept the wax knife as a memento.
You won't get away with this. No Ronnie Biggs fiascos for us. We know what you did. We know everything about you.
What did I do? Put that stuff back. It's of no interest to you.
They say the contents of a criminal's pockets will tell you everything you need to know about a criminal's mind.
He had poorly developed social skills. Certainly he was cunning, and certainly he was obsessed, but he did not have a criminal mind. On the contrary, I found him to have a strong, even childlike sense of natural justice. Of course, some of the most horrible crimes have been perpetrated in the name of natural justice. After consultation, I did certify him as insane.
Registered with the British Dental Council. Why go to England, mate? Why not go somewhere with palm trees?
Because you Poms have teeth like rows of condemned houses, that's why. If I went somewhere where there were palm trees, where people have teeth as straight as piano keys, I'd be unemployed.
Come on, make it easy on yourself. Give us a statement. Court will look favourably on you.
I'm not going to make a statement.
You want to go down for 15 years, do you? Do you know the name Smith? Lady Emily Smith. She was a patient of yours.
Smith, that's a good one. I'd probably had a filing cabinet full of Smiths.
Oh, you'd remember this one.
I lost all my teeth through gum disease. I drank from a chipped cup in Bognor Regis. I had always taken my dental treatment in Harley Street, but when George Barrington retired to the south of France, I was left without a dentist. Also, the Bentley was proving more and more difficult for Arnold to manage on the motorways, so I decided to give my custom to the local fellow. I knew he was an Australian, but then I'm broad-minded in that respect. And I've always had an understanding with professional men.
What about the name Prescott?
You're late.
Where have you been?
I had my teeth checked by that new Australian dentist in the High Street.
You what?
Nice fella. Young single chap. Comes from a place called Wagga Wagga.
But you've never had anything wrong with your teeth.
He took some x-rays, see if anything was wrong.
X-rays?
Interesting things, X-rays, if you think about it. Somehow they shoot radiation out of a machine and it permeates your insides.
Prescott. Probably had 10 Prescotts.
He remembers you.
Ah, so this is what it's about. Some Mr. Prescott. A poor old bugger got a mouthful of rotten teeth, and it's all my fault.
There's something wrong, all right. With my teeth. Good thing I had that checkup.
Perhaps I should have a checkup, Mother. With the contest coming up, it could be the sensible thing to do.
Do me a favour, George.
I need fillings. He's going to do it with diamond drill bits. Fascinating stuff.
The hard outer layer of enamel has no feelings, but the soft inner layer, called dentine, is very sensitive.
Too right, it's soft and sensitive. And if you let the drill get away on you, you can end up drilling right into the nerve cavity.
Of course, Fairweather didn't force his patients to attend his practice. He didn't advertise, solicit work. So some of his patients must have found his work satisfactory. Their patients aren't that fussy. Between you and me, Frankenstein's monster could run a booming dental practice in England.
The new dentist just sold his bike.
Walking now, is he?
He bought himself a moped.
Moped? What sort of a professional man rides a moped?
I was damned annoyed. When someone walks into my bank with no collateral, wearing rubber sandals, he doesn't get a loan. I made a recommendation to head office to reject the Fairweather loan. They advised me otherwise. They told me to give it to him. I explained he was living at the back of the dental practice, which is almost equivalent to no fixed abode. Excuse me. Yes? I'll be home soon. Yes, yes. He had no references from colleagues or friends, or even family. And he wanted the money to buy a motorbike, of all things. They didn't care what he wanted the money for. They said to give it to him. Head office has a policy of being nice to Australian dentists. Apparently, London's crawling with them. But it's the first one I've had in my bank.
You're smiling too much. That's what it is. It's giving you lines.
Oh, God, I've chewed his filling out.
I warned you, didn't I?
Well, give the boy a chance. It's my fault. I chewed it out. I'm going to have a crown.
Oh, what?
So, to make these crowns, you virtually have to chop a tooth in half.
So?
Just like that. Chop a whole tooth in half.
It's only a tooth. It's not an arm or a leg. And look at what you get.
What do you get?
You get straight white teeth. That's what you get. Little rows of porcelain thimbles that fit over the top. They can change your personality overnight. Turn a plain Jane into a princess. Movie stars have rows of them.
Most of my friends got pregnant, the boys from the factory. Well, they were at the factory before it closed down. They're unemployed now. I'm not barren or frigid or anything. I'm just not allowed out. My mother always says that the right man will come along. It was her idea that I entered the Miss Portsmouth Beauty Contest. She said it was a chance to make something of myself. My dad says she's restoring me like a vintage car.
Is that better, Daddy?
No!
Don't be such a baby, George.
The pain starts here, where the crown fell out. It goes around all of my teeth, up the side of my face, and into my ear and eye, and into my skull. I think I've got an abscess. Oh! Oh!
It says here, an abscess is not unlike a boil under a tooth. You drill a hole down the nerve canal and allow the pressure of the pus to drain away.
And you were drilling a few too many holes down nerve canals, weren't you, my boy?
Look, some patients keep coming back from war. This one's giving me jip, that one's giving me jip. Fill this one, pull this one, save this one. Now my bite's gone off, my denture hurts. You look in the waiting room, and Christ, they're all in there again. The dentist before me committed suicide. Did you know that?
Yeah, we knew that.
Dentists, as a professional group, make an interesting study. They have the second highest incidence of nervous breakdown and suicide. The only professional group with the worst record, interestingly enough, are psychiatrists.
Dentistry's had the sword. The party's over. Fluoride in the water supplies, oral hygiene awareness. Children don't get much decay in their teeth anymore. In 30 years' time, dentistry in civilized countries we know it will be gone. Why Gordon Fairweather wanted to become a dentist, I'll never know. They get bad spines from bending over, deaf from high-speed drills, blind from fine work in ultraviolet lights. It's sad. I feel sorry for dentists. But that Fairweather lad, he's on a mission. He's got a light in his eye. Something's driving him on, and I don't know what it is.
I was right. I've got an abscess. I need a root canal.
You don't listen to me, do you, George?
Well, he's doing his level best. He's tidied up that dental surgery, something beautiful, you know. The very latest of everything. There, go ahead, these Australians.
Australians.
I couldn't have Australians as house guests, I'm afraid. We stayed with some long-lost cousins in Australia on our travels. Hotel accommodation is so frightfully expensive out there. They took their annual holidays and drove us absolutely everywhere in the back of their station wagon. He had a refrigeration business of some sort, and she did part-time cleaning. It was such a strain trying to be chummy. I mean, we hadn't got the least thing in common. They wrote to us last spring, but I returned the letter with unknown at this address. I didn't wish to be unkind, but what else could I do?
You would think that it would be simple to pick a filling out of your tooth with a pin, but it's not. It's impossible to get any grip on it.
You're not reading in there, are you? You know it gives you bags under the eyes.
No, I'm not reading, Mother. New dentist has sold his moped. He's bought himself a car.
A new one?
I'm not sure.
What type of car?
I don't know anything about cars, Mummy.
What do you know?
It's white.
Lovely cars, Rovers. We extended the overdraft to cover the cost of Fairweather's new car. It wasn't the lowest interest rate we could offer. We reserve low interest rates for our preferred customers. His income was certainly healthy, expanding week by week. Lucky people, apparently, these dentists.
The National Health Service monitors every dentist. There are 2,000 million characters of data on this little baby. Every tooth surface, every denture, every extraction, every x-ray. Occasionally, a dentist will step over the line from being monitored to being investigated. Over-servicing. That's what we're looking for.
I've always prided myself that even my husband Arnold didn't know I wore a denture. But over time, the wretched thing began to slip. That's when I made an appointment with a new Australian chef in the High Street.
Hey, Alvin.
Oh. You know that root canal?
Yes.
Didn't take. I have to have a damn blasted tooth out. And the one next to it. Infection spreading. The drought's got the wheat crop in Australia, he was telling me. Poor buggers.
Do you want me to come with you then?
No need, darling.
I've never sat in a dental waiting room with other patients before. George Barrington in Harley Street always saw to it that the appointments were well spaced. He also allotted ample time for a consultation. Oh, he was a professional man and a gentleman.
And they still pull teeth out with pliers. Well, this book out of date.
How do you think you take them out?
Well, it is the 20th century.
You get a good grip on it with a set of forceps. Then you twist it, you tease it, you push it and pull it until the tooth pops loose.
I just thought my old dentist was a bit behind the times.
You've pulled out a lot of teeth in your time, haven't you?
Who was that gave you a lift home?
The young dentist lad. I fainted during gum surgery.
Gum surgery?
Pity, because it was jolly interesting stuff.
What kind of a car was that?
It's got a new Jag. Oh.
I don't know why he sold his Rover. It's the safest car in the world, Rover. I've always driven one. We offered Dr. Fairweather a low-interest rate, tax-deductible lease package to buy the Jaguar. He opted to pay cash. He took the money out of his account, not in a money order or a bank cheque, but in £100 notes.
The first warning we had was the dentures. He was doing too many. The computer matches a treatment profile with a national average. And if you're doing more than your fair share, so to speak, bells ring. We initiate a low-key investigation. Ask a few questions. Please look at the camera, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, you're a dental mechanic.
Actually, I'm a dental prosthetist.
Anyway, you made dentures on the instructions of Dr. Fairweather. Now, I understand the making of a denture to be a very precise task.
Oh, very much so. There's taking impressions, checking the measurements, fitting after fitting, adjustments, colorimetry, more adjustments.
And you take pride in your work?
I certainly do.
Did Dr. Fairweather have special instructions for you in regard to the making of the dentures?
Yes, miss, you did.
What were they?
Said to make the dentures in large, medium, small. Just make as many as I could.
I see. Simply churn them out.
Exactly.
When George Barrington made my last set of dentures in Harley Street, he took endless measurements, impressions of wax and things. We were up and down that motorway so many times. With this new fella, there was none of that. It was open wide, and in popped the new dentures. Naturally, I thought to myself, hasn't dentistry come a long way? Before I could utter a word, the nurse had me out of the door and the new patient into the chair.
So you like being a dentist, do you?
What if I do?
That's one way of meeting people. You make any friends when you're in London? Did you play any sport, belong to any club? Oh, no. You go to the West End, to the theatre. Got any girlfriends? Well, come on. You're a single man, fancy-free. Or is there one particular girl, one special Sheila?
Girlfriend? Gordon? You must be joking. He wasn't that kind of boy. Surprised me if he'd ever done it.
It's embarrassing now, but that's the way it worked. Well, you wouldn't let a boy touch you unless he was nice. The nicer he was, the more you'd let him. Unless he was really nice, and then you wouldn't let him touch you at all, because then he wouldn't respect you. I went out with Gordon, whatever his name was, but I never let him touch me. And not because he was anything special. He had a huge nose. And greasy hair, I think. Nathan, I'm talking to the man. Of course, he's made a name for himself now, hasn't he?
Gordon never did any good with the women. They know that. Well, some blokes have got it and some blokes haven't, eh? I reckon sex isn't all that it's cracked up to be. What is?
Sex in Australia is dealt with on the most superficial of levels. It's all stereotype relationships, sentimentality and embarrassment. But of course, the majority of Australians are macho opinion holders rather than rational thinkers. They have an aggression born of lack of confidence. Perhaps it's a result of poor breeding. Shiploads of low-class convicts stocked from the British Isles. What can you expect?
Come on. You must have had a girlfriend. You're not queer, are you?
You tell me. You reckon you know everything?
You had a dental nurse, though. That'd be some compensation. A dental nurse.
I don't hate my body, but I'm not very interested in it. I'd like to get interested in something, but I don't know what.
She'll win this contest, as long as she hasn't got to open her mouth. She's got the height, the smile, and a nice bum. She's got good legs, and I've taught her how to walk. That lisp comes from being a premature baby.
Being born a month after the wedding doesn't automatically make me a premature baby. My dad wasn't my mum's first choice in marriage. Apparently she fancied someone else. A foreigner. I don't know what happened though, she never talks about it.
The drought's broken. There's floods all through the middle of Australia. The whole country's underwater.
Oh, yeah.
He was almost crying, poor bugger, about the floods. He's been advertising for a nurse. Not one reply.
I saw that sign downstairs. Dental nurse wanted. I've only been to one interview before. And
And they asked me what qualities I had that would suit me for the job.
You catch the bus across the street out front of the bakery.
That's right, every day.
Except Thursdays.
And Thursdays I go shopping with my mum. I think you might know my dad. Prescott? Mr. George Prescott.
We agreed you wouldn't take a job till after the contest. It's not a manual job, is it?
Not really, Mummy.
Well, not checkout work.
No, Mummy.
What is it then?
I'll tell you when I get home.
Tell me now.
I'd rather tell you later.
Now.
It's in the High Street.
Go on.
I'm a dental nurse, Mummy.
What?
It's a good job, Mummy.
Come home this minute.
You don't know anything about dental nursing, Mummy.
You do you?
After
everything I've told you, after everything that's happened to your father.
Is that you?
You're home early.
You'll never guess who I saw at the dental surgery.
She's your daughter. You tell her. Tell her what she's letting herself in for. Go on.
Anyway, gum surgery didn't work. All the back teeth have got to go. I'm going to have a cantilever bridge. He says it's a bit dodgy. Mightn't last forever. I told him to give it a go. Nothing lasts forever.
So it seems.
Dental bridge spans from one tooth to another. A cantilever bridge is a bridge which swings off only the one pylon, or one tooth.
And you charge a pretty penny for that, I'll bet. Typical of you blokes.
It's value for money. People go to the doctor and come out feeling no different. You come to the dentist, you come to see me, and you come out feeling completely different. I did something for each and every one of those people.
From me.
I'll be needing a partial denture.
Partial dentures clip round existing teeth to replace missing teeth. They're commonly made of acrylic, a plastic or chrome cobalt metal.
Bloody dentist's taken you for a ride, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm not having much luck with these teeth, am I?
Luck? We'll sue. That's what. We'll sue. Well, that book down, take those glasses off. They pinch your nose. And face the typewriter.
No way, Mum.
Say that again.
No way, Mum.
You, young lady, are developing an Australian accent.
I can't type a letter against my boss, Mother.
You'll type what I tell you to type. And watch those fingernails lifting that typewriter. They cost me a fortune.
Dear Mrs. Prescott, etc.
First, let me say that bringing charges of professional misconduct against a dental surgeon is a most serious matter. Tread carefully. I must apologize for not replying to your letter earlier. I trust that by now the molars are on the mend and that the whole business can be forgotten. Yours faithfully, etc., etc.
Yours faithfully, G. Prescott, Mrs. in brackets. Dear Mr. Pike, could I make one thing perfectly clear? I have good teeth. My husband, George, is being treated... I said tortured. By this Australian so-called dental surgeon, and we demand satisfaction. We know our rights and wish to sue. I can only presume professional blood is thicker than water, or you have a nephew or something living in Australia. We will be taking our business elsewhere. Yours faithfully, G. Prescott, Mrs. in brackets. Where's the whiteout? Lost your appetite?
No, Mummy.
He hasn't made a pass at you, has he? Because if he so much as lays one finger on you, my girl, I shall be straight down there and drag you out by the hair. If you must work for a dentist, why can't you work for an English dentist?
You don't know anything about Australian dentists, Mummy.
And you do you?
Australian dentists have always been popular in England, the way we train them. British dentists, for the most part, are frustrated doctors. They prefer a white coat and work in a hospital environment. They're interested in biology and concerned with status. Australian dentists are practical men, just as happy pulling out a wisdom tooth as a gearbox. It's as much a trade as a profession. Australians have tradesmen's raw hands and a certain irreverent charm. They identify the problem, roll up their sleeves, and get on with it.
Dr. Fairweather was seeing 150 patients a day. The average was 20 a day. The national health checks at the end of the month were staggering. Naturally, we stepped up our investigation.
He was quick, friendly, always polite. I had 8 fillings, didn't feel a thing. I didn't even know I needed 8 fillings.
Well, I had about 7 appointments. Was it 10? Well, I had a root canal and 5 fillings. He was a nice man. Well, I was sorry it was all over, really.
It's probably not my place to say. He takes X-rays for everybody, whether they've got teeth or not.
I was reassured when he suggested taking a set of X-rays. God knows what might be lurking under the gums. Some of my friends have been carried off by... well, I won't go into that.
I didn't realise Dr. Fairweather was behind me in the dark room to help me. I got a surprise, that's all. I let go of the X-rays and they fell into the wrong solution. It was my fault.
How are my X-rays, Doctor?
Lady Smith, your X-rays are completely clear.
I'm so relieved to hear that.
Loneliness, that's what brings them in. What will I do today? Get a new denture? Go to the dentist? It's an outing. What can I do about that? And then they go back home and too much time on their hands and all they can think about is the denture. Does it hurt? Doesn't it hurt? Does it fit? Doesn't it fit? Is it digging in? Yes, it's digging in. What will I do tomorrow? Better go back to the dentist. It's not their fault. I feel sorry for them.
I think I'm going to weep. I invited Dr. Fairweather, Gordon, to the bank Christmas party. It's a cocktail party for preferred clients. I delivered the invitation into the surgery myself on my way home. It was a bit of a trudge through the snow, but the personal touch never hurts. The waiting room was full of patients, and he obviously didn't have time for a chat, so I dropped the envelope into the reception, and he gave me a wave from the X-ray cubicle, and then he shut the door. He and his nurse were developing X-rays, or some such thing.
No, more thumbs are X-rays. Got to sort of work by feel. So we've been staying behind to practice. Well, Dr. Fairweather's ever so patient with me.
Nessa, come and have a look at this.
No, I've got to go. Okay, bye-bye. They're destroying a whole forest in Brazil, Mother.
So?
Well, every little bit counts.
Says who? No, don't tell me. Let me guess.
Anyway, I don't want to go into the beauty contest.
What?
I don't like sweaty old men grinning at me and measuring me.
Oh, don't you now?
I want to do something with my life.
Like what?
Something important. I want to devote myself to something.
Devote yourself to dental nursing, I suppose, you poor deluded child. This contest is your only chance to make anything of yourself, and don't you forget it.
There'll be other chances. And anyway, I could never win.
You can win. You can win, and you will win.
You know what Dr. Fairweather says?
No. I don't want to know what Dr. Fairweather says.
Hello? All that trouble through one cigarette, would you believe it? There's bushfires all through New South Wales. Somebody started it by throwing a cigarette out of a car.
Oh, God.
You'll never guess what happened. The clips on the partial denture wore the other teeth away. Now I've got to have them all out. Well, I suppose I've had a pretty good run out of them anyway. I'm going to have a full denture.
Or take a flaming photo with you. One when you were young. Don't come back looking like George Formby. That's more than I could take.
Anybody home?
You're late?
Yes, bothered bother getting the teeth out. All the roots snapped off and we had to dig them out and sew the gums up. Christ, it's giving me grip.
Put some ice on it.
My dentures were a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. They didn't fit correctly. I went back 10 times for an adjustment, without satisfaction. Finally, he asked me what the denture cost. I wrote out a check and handed it to me.
Money? I don't think Dr. Fairweather gave one hoot about what the bank did with his money. Anyway, bank manager is not obliged to tell his customer about a higher interest rate that might be available. If Dr. Fairweather chooses to keep his money in a very low interest account, it was his own business.
And if holding such a large sum of money in a low-interest account looks good on my balance sheet, that's my good luck. And if, in turn, that brings me an invitation to dine with the general manager at St. James, that's my good luck as well. Quite frankly, I deserve a promotion to a city branch. I'm the one that has to listen to a wife who cries all night about being stuck in a provincial backwater.
They weren't that bad, were they?
Was there an apology in the mail from that solicitor?
No. Mother? Dr. Fairweather's asked if you can take me for a drive next weekend. I'll be home before dark.
No.
Why not?
No.
He wanted to take me for the test drive.
What test drive?
New car. It's a Rolls. We're going to go to Ascot for the races.
Well, I suppose a little drive in the country wouldn't hurt.
In the way he treats his car. Fairweather treated that Rolls-Royce like shit. He never locked it, he never washed it, he never serviced it. Back seat was a mess of newspapers and half-eaten sandwiches. I'm used to dentists being careful, clean, precise people.
Poor Daddy. He had a day off work today. Did you see anybody at the races?
That's not important, Mummy.
But did you?
Well, Prince Charles was there. And Sean Connery.
At least I think it was Sean Connery walked up near the fence. Did you speak to them? No, of course you wouldn't. Bet your young man looked spiffing in his Italian suit.
Well, it was too hot for the coat, so there was no use wearing the tie.
But did you have champagne and strawberries? Wouldn't be good for your figure.
That's right.
You're home very late.
We stopped to watch the sunset.
Has he asked to see you again?
We've got ever so many x-rays to develop tomorrow.
Can I ask you something? What about that? It's never been right since the day I was put in. Is that a rubbish job or what? You're not going to put it back in your mouth, are you? Smart bugger, eh? Anyway, you've been stood up. We can't wait any longer. We've got 20 witnesses who'll testify against you. We've got you any way you look at it.
I've been asked.
Been asked what?
I've been asked to be Mrs. Gordon Fairweather.
You've been what?
He's asked me to marry him.
Oh, that's my girl. Have you told your father? No, of course you haven't.
These bloody dentists don't come in a bleeding mile of filling me. Anybody home?
I heard you.
You ever hear anything back from that solicitor?
Not yet, dear.
The crown of thorn starfish is eating the coral on the Great Barrier Reef in Queensland now. I'm beginning to think these Australians bring it on themselves.
all the arrangements. Oh, imagine arriving at the church in a Rolls Royce.
We won't need a car, Mummy.
Of course we will.
No, just Gordon and I will be enough.
So it's Gordon now, is it?
A bit of privacy would be nice.
You reckon you're such a brilliant bloody dentist? Why do you reckon all these people are prepared to testify against you, mate? You've got videotape statements coming from everybody that's ever heard of you. Who's Banjo Patterson?
Who's Banjo Patterson? On the outer Barcoo, where churches are few and men of religion are scanty, in a road never crossed except by men who are lost, one Michael McGee had a shanty. What's this then, eh?
The month's Fairweather was uncontrollably violent. Then suddenly one day he became calm. It was Australia Day, the flags were flying. Gordon turned to me and quietly asked for his letters and photographs stored in the basement. He wanted to research his family tree.
The mother smoked and drank something dreadful. I actually delivered the poor little child. You know, there was a lot of gossip going on at the time. There were two men who could have been responsible for her pregnancy. One was her brother, and the other one was an Aboriginal lad. So you can imagine my relief when the little head popped out and it was white. The mother shot through, even before the baby was out of the humidicrib. But the brother, well, that is the baby's father, came and took him. He was, a shearer or a rouseabout on one of the properties. And I remember he called the baby Gordon because he wanted it to have the benefit of a high-class sounding name.
His father's death certificate. He worked at the British atomic bomb site in South Australia.
Oh, yeah. Helped clean up the fallout, poor bastard.
Died of cancer when you were 4 years old. They put you in an orphanage called Rockhill.
What's it to you? Well, you know, some guys are interested in cars, some guys are interested in football. But you know what I'm interested in? People. That's what I'm interested in. Why they do the things they do. People like you, for instance.
His mother came to visit him one time when we were kids. She had strong perfume and the man with her kept telling her to hurry up. She gave Gordy a set of pencils and then she said she'd come back and see him later on. They never do.
Jack Fairweather fought in the First World War. 18 years old, left a young son and a pregnant wife in Sydney. Killed 25th of April in Gallipoli. Grandfather, presumably.
Died fighting for Mother England in the Dardanelles, eh? We don't want the bacon, we don't want the bacon, all we want is a piece of the Rhine.
Grandmother became an alcoholic. Died during the Depression in a doss house in Albury.
Love gone wrong, eh?
We never had a church service, your father and me. They were difficult times. But I never thought a daughter of mine would deny me the joy of a church service when her turn came.
We didn't need this dress, Mother. We just wanted it quick and simple.
What's the hurry? Where's romance gone?
What do you know about romance, Mummy?
I'll pick up my dentures before we go.
where are they?
They're in a reline.
Oh, good. Tell him not to forget the carnation while you're there. What's a reline?
Well, ask your flaming daughter.
Well, when a denture doesn't fit the gums, a new surface is added underneath so that it fits correctly.
Who is it? Put him through. Dr. Fairweather. And how are you this lovely morning? I beg your pardon. Take it out. But no, it's fine. Listen, I know. Why don't we have a long lunch and talk it over? My treat. There's a wonderful new French restaurant. No, of course. Close all the accounts. Remit to where? The Rock Hill Orphanage Building Fund. Wagga Wagga. Australia. It's not a joke, is it? No, it's just that I wonder if it's wise. Gone. By this afternoon? Well, no, it's not impossible. Fine. But goodbye.
Would you please explain the car, Mr. Howard?
Dr. Fairweather gave the car to me. A Rolls Royce, just like that. He put the keys on my desk and said, "That's yours." And the registration papers and the MOT. Then he said it was in gratitude for all the work I'd done for him. Then he just turned, walked away.
Amazingly generous, don't you think?
There's an old saying, dentists end up either mean or mad. Just presumed he'd gone mad.
Not only did we suspect he was over-servicing, we believed he was claiming treatment on patients he'd never seen. This is a common practice. One picks names from a telephone book and claims to have carried out dental treatment on them. Well, once that becomes clear, it's a police matter. Here he comes.
It's not my fault. I couldn't get the bloody things.
But for God's sake, keep your mouth closed for the photos.
There's a police car outside the surgery. The whole area was called north.
Police car?
Police car? What police car, Daddy?
He asked me to be best man. I went to the surgery to collect the groom, but he was gone. He left 6 months' rent in advance on the desk, and a note that said, "Thank you." Thank you for what, I thought. Oh, and he left these and asked me to hand them on to Mr. Prescott. I must remember to do that.
We had been issued with a warrant for Dr. Gordon Fairweather's arrest. We knocked on the door of the dental surgery on Saturday, but no one answered. We gained entry with the assistance of the proprietor of the Jewel of India restaurant downstairs.
Where are they, boy? Have a look down, have a look in there. That's it. Come on, down there. Go and have a look down there. Go on. Go on, quickly. That's a good boy. Go get him, boy. Go on, go and have a look. Let's get you, go on.
After a thorough search of the flat, we surmised he had made good his escape. A search of the surrounding area presented no sign of the suspect.
He was a double-tongued, slippery mongrel of a man, unfit to touch the hem of your dress.
Oh, shut up, Mummy. You don't know what it's like.
I don't know what it's like. I know exactly what it's like. You're not, you know, are you?
No.
You sure?
Shut up, Mummy.
I won't shut up. You're my daughter and you're the best young woman in this county. And on Monday night, we're going to prove it.
They want you in South Sea Pier, sir, right away.
On Saturday afternoon, Scotland Yard, the experts, took the case out of our hands.
Yeah, sure, I've heard of Scotland Yard. So what? They can spin that sign around till the suburb takes off. They won't catch a Rock Hill orphanage boy. There's only one way you catch a Rock Hill boy, and that is if he gives himself up.
The press found me on the Sunday morning. How much taxpayers' money had he ripped off? Why weren't the police notified earlier? All that business. By Sunday night, it was a political football. The National Health Service was incompetent. Scotland Yard was incompetent. How could a dentist possibly slip through the net? Police were watching every airport and ferry terminal. It was front-page news.
I gave the job to the Australian lad. It takes one to catch one. These people think Interpol is some sort of fairy godmother. They wanted us to track down a rogue dentist. Fast. Forget the international drug dealers, the Middle Eastern terrorists. So, we rush around and pretend to look busy. But most times in a case like this, all we do is we just watch the girlfriend's mailbox.
Last year, all the contestants were lined up for the final judging for the beauty contest, and one of the girls threw up. It hit the polished floor and splashed up on all the girls' legs. No one screamed. They all just stood there and looked down at it. I felt so sorry for her, because that's how nervous I get. They all cleaned off and had the judging again, but the girl who threw up didn't come out a second time. I guess she knew she wasn't going to win.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment I know you've all been waiting for. I have the envelope here in my hand. The judge's decision, and the winner of the title of Miss Portsmouth is... Vanessa Prescott.
Your old mum and dad on a holiday. Who's your letter from?
Just somebody.
What's it say?
Just something.
What?
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing? Where was it sent from?
Nowhere.
victims. Elizabeth Reed, born Dublin, 1782. Transported convict, age 14. Pregnant on the trip. Baby, when she landed in Sydney, died, age 16.
There's a pattern to all this. Can't you see it?
I have to go to the toilet again.
Shut up. There's a pattern. Plain as day.
We considered work-related reasons for his state of mind. Dentistry is a hazardous occupation. Mercury is toxic. Too much fluoride is toxic. Too many x-rays will give you cancer. But he had none of the symptoms. The lad had gone insane because he couldn't pass dentistry. The only way to heal him was to let him graduate from university. Give him that precious piece of paper, BDS, Bachelor of Dental Surgery. Free up the wheels in his head. It was perfectly safe.
Well, if they awarded him a degree, they certainly didn't publicise it. I mean, you can't go giving a person a degree simply because they go crazy, or everyone would want one. You wouldn't be able to squeeze your way onto the campus past the ambulances and the men in white coats.
Between you and me, there are a lot of disturbed dentists out there. One more's not going to change things much. In a few seconds with a high-speed drill, you can reduce teeth to rubble. From a selfish point of view, they won't hurt me or my family because I know who the bad dentists are. I've never been keen on him practicing in this country. I thought he might graduate and then not allow him to register with the State Dental Board. Perhaps he could go and practice in some other country.
He's a schizophrenic.
What?
He's got paranoid schizophrenia.
What he's got, mate, is a chip on his shoulder against the Poles. Because they stuffed up his family, he did maliciously and deliberately over-treat the British public. That from the first day he hung his shingle in High Street, he had no other intention than to attack the teeth of the patients who presented themselves for his care and to defraud the British National Health Service for as much money as he possibly could before being detected. You're always going to piss off with the loot, weren't you? Oh, it might have been subconscious. I mean, you mightn't have even known why you were doing it. But I'm right, aren't I?
I'm telling you, I have to go to the toilet.
Now, good. Do you respect my judgment? Would you accept my advice? Well, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Riley.
Well, my advice to you, my boy, is that we can't undo the past. These convicts and soldiers at Gallipoli and atomic bomb tests, I mean, you can't go blaming the English people at Portsmouth for things that happened that long ago. I mean, sure, your family's had a rough trot, but that's ancient history. Live for the present. That's my advice. Sensible? Say yes.
Yes, Mr. Riley.
Now, what did I say?
Live for the present.
And what else?
It's ancient history.
That's right. Ancient history. Now, let's get out of here.
I've got to go to the toilet.
Well, of course a person can be broken. An obsession can be the air in the balloon of a person's very being. Prick the balloon, release the obsession, and the person is broken. All that remains is a shell, a model citizen, if you like.
Didn't I tell her to be home by 7?
You told her.
You heard me?
I heard you.
The name Prescott rang a bell. This time it was the daughter who came to see me, Vanessa. She didn't want to sue the dentist. She wanted to defend him if he was apprehended. In an effort to put the young woman off, I asked her how she intended paying for my bill. She gave me this.
Undo 'em. Make it quick.
Mr. Hutch?
Well, it's work alone will save us in the land that fortune gave us. There's no crop but what will grow it. There's no stock but what we'll raise. So it's lifted. Yeah. Back in it and shifter while the jabber of the politicians flows. If your nag's too poor to travel, then get down and scratch the gravel. For you'll get there if you walk it. If you don't, you'll feed the crows. Oh, if you don't have Chinese poems like that, I'll tell you.
I see you.
Hey? Where?
The end of the street, coming this way. In a red dress.
Hey, pull your trousers up. You've got company.
Where's she gone? Where is she? Damn it!
Retrospectively, I made one mistake. I put too much faith in Asian plumbing. But I'll find him. I'll find him even if I have to do it in my own spare time.
Dear Mum and Dad, I'm sorry for not writing sooner, but it's so hard to find a post office when you're on the move. The weather's been lovely. We did get a few days of rain in Bolivia, but overall it's been blue skies. Gordon sends his regards. We're settling down for a while in a country not all that far from England, actually. I'll give you a clue. It's a country that's testing its atomic bombs on islands near Australia. And the radiation is leaking into the Pacific Ocean. I mean, Gordon is ever so annoyed. I am as well. We think someone has to do something about it. He says this isn't ancient history. It's modern history.
Thank you.